Hello. I've tried to make this video so many times. And it's just not coming out right. So I'm trying. This is the third time I'm trying. I realized that I have been trying to outthink my emotions. That I have been trying to logic my way out of them, and I haven't been letting myself actually feel my emotions. If you've seen from past videos, I've had a pretty good perspective on this breakup and all that stuff. But I think I've been relying too much on the perspective, and I haven't given myself the space to actually just feel what I'm feeling without having to like rationalize it. And so that's what I realized I needed to do that, and so that's what I've been doing it this past week, but I realized I'm really doing that today. And the reason why I think is because I'm embarrassed of how I feel. I'm embarrassed and kind of ashamed of how I wish that my logical side and the way that I've been rationalizing things was how I truly felt. And I do feel that way in some moments or whatever, but it's not. Like I feel this whole other side that I've been trying to convince myself I don't actually feel. So I'm here to be really honest and really vulnerable, and I don't want to, but I need to. So the reality is, and having the perspective is good. It's a good thing to have. It helps see the bigger picture, but I need to just sit there and focus on how I feel. And I'm going to try not to rationalize, but I might accidentally do that. The reality is I'm miserable. I'm super hurt. I'm super sad. I'm depressed. Everywhere I go, even if I'm doing something fun, exciting for the first time since my injury and I'm hanging out with friends, whatever, there's still just this like deep sadness that walks around with me everywhere I go. And I'm not enjoying this. I'm like, and I'm embarrassed to say that I miss David a lot. And I'm embarrassed to say that, like, I don't want this. I want him. And that's embarrassing because he doesn't want me. He doesn't want this. He wants this breakup, whatever. And I feel ashamed that I want someone who doesn't want me. That's basically it. And you know, I keep talking to myself out loud and like telling myself all these things or whatever, but truth is I'm going through it. It's pretty hardcore. And I mean, it's some aspects have gotten easier or whatever, but it was really hard to admit myself that I still wanted him. And it was really hard to admit to myself how much I know I missed him, but it was really hard to admit to myself how much I missed him. And I think I realized how much I missed him because, you know, I never felt like I needed David. I never felt like I needed him in my life. I knew I'd be fine without him. Like I never wanted to need someone after I had this one really bad relationship. I never wanted to need someone, and I didn't need him. During my injury I did, but I think that's a little different. I needed help. But man, did I want him. And I you know, still do, but and I just genuinely loved him for himself. I didn't love him for what he did for me. I didn't love him for, you know, a version of him. I didn't love him at his best. I didn't, you know, like I loved all of David, and I loved him the most when he was just authentically and genuinely himself. And of course I appreciated like everything he did for me and all that stuff, but I just loved him as a person. And even the things that like I didn't understand, like the D&D and whatever, like just seeing him be himself made me so happy and made me love him so much more every time. And so that's hard to like feel that type of love and to feel that way and then, you know, not have anything to do with it anymore. Because again, I never needed him. I just always wanted him. And even whenever he was at his worst, or he wasn't the nicest, or, you know, he fucked up and he did whatever, like, he said something mean, he messed this up, he whatever, like, I still just loved him. I'd be upset, you know, whatever, like a rational person. It wasn't like an constant undying love for him. Like, it was realistic, but even in those moments I still loved him, and I still felt like his biggest supporter and his biggest cheerleader, and so to love someone like that, and then for them to just say, I don't want that, that really hurts. And you know, I've also had to come to terms with, or not come to terms with, but like, I know that I did stuff wrong. I know that I wasn't perfect. I know that I made a lot of mistakes because I'm human, and that happens. And as much as I want to hold myself up to the higher standard and never do anything wrong ever, I did. I said the wrong things. I had moments where I wasn't the nicest. I am very honest, but sometimes it borders on rude, and I'm very critical, and I can be judgmental, and sometimes I can say too much of the negative and the bad things that are happening instead of the positive things that are happening. And, you know, maybe I told him, whenever he did mess something up, I told him too much, or like I have all of these flaws, and I've been ashamed of them. But I think back to, like, you know, whenever we first met, I was not the best version of myself. No one's the best version of themselves when they're 19 years old. He wasn't the best version of himself. He had some shit. I also had some shit. And I wasn't the best version of myself. But I realized, I'd say pretty early on, that David deserved better than that version of myself. And I deserved to be I needed to be a better version of myself too, but I loved him, and I was like, oh, he deserves someone better. He deserves a better version of me. And so I constantly and continuously work to be a better version of myself, for me, but also for him, because I wanted him to have better. And I did that. I did that out of love, and I did that because I wanted to, because I wanted to be the person he needed me to be, or that would have been best for him. And it was still like an authentic version of myself. Again, I was just bettering myself, and so I did, and I mean, you never stop. I mean, you're never perfect or whatever. And especially this last year with my injury, I've done a lot of growing, a lot of changing in good ways, I would say. And I'm not that 19-year-old girl anymore. I'm a lot different. You know, she was very harsh and scared and defensive and angry and insecure, and, you know, and since David and I broke up, I mean, I felt different over the past 3 years or whatever, but since David and I broke up, I've really come to realize, like, wow, I'm not that anymore. I'm not defensive. I'm not, you know, angry. Sure, I have a temper sometimes, but, like, generally I'm not an angry person. I can communicate, I can collaborate, I can work with other people. I am not insecure, you know. Not really. I'm not insecure. I don't have anxiety as much. I don't really have anxiety at all. I'm kind. I'm softer. I'm understanding. I'm more confident. And I feel like a better version of myself now. And I'm really happy that I'm a better version of myself, because, you know, that's good. It's a good thing to be. And I've let go a lot of, like, trauma and whatever. But I just wish I just wish David would have seen it. Because the whole reason I started doing all of this back when we first met was for him. And I wish he saw that in me. I thought he did. That's the thing, is like, I thought he knew how much I loved him. I thought he knew like my commitment and my dedication, and I thought he knew like my willingness to communicate and work together, and I thought he knew how much I supported him in everything he did, and how proud I was of him, and I thought he saw all those things, and so I thought that he saw through the flaws that I was working on, and he saw through the moments where I said the wrong thing, and then I lost my temper a little bit, and that I said something harsh and whatever. Like, I thought he saw through, or saw past that. He saw it, but then saw past it to see the and whatever, and he didn't. I thought he did, but he didn't. And that makes me feel like I wasn't enough. Like I didn't do enough. It makes me feel rejected. And it makes me feel like, yeah, I see all this good you have, and I see that, you know, all these things, but this other side is just not worth it. And I started to beat myself up over that. Because it's like, man, if you would have just got your shit together sooner, if you would have just, you know, done whatever sooner, then maybe this, you know, whatever. But everyone has flaws. And I did work on things. I did get better. But then also, like, he's not perfect either. He has flaws. And he, whatever. But fundamentally, he didn't talk to me. He didn't communicate with me about any of it. So, how was I supposed to know? How was I supposed to know to do better if I wasn't told I wasn't doing enough? You know? But then also, like, I'm not just all of those things. I'm not just harsh and critical and have a bad tone and, you know, whatever. I'm not just all of those things. I'm good, and I'm smart, and I'm beautiful, and I'm funny, and I'm honest, and I'm loving, and I'm loyal, and I'm really good at solving problems. I'm good at helping. I'm confident. I'm all of these things. And again, I can get hung up on the bad and not talk about the good enough sometimes. And so I'm really having to come to terms with the fact that, like, yeah, I have all these flaws, but I also have all these good things about me too. And they exist all within me. And I'm not a bad person. I'm not a great person. I'm just a person. And I really thought David saw all those things, and I really thought he appreciated, but not appreciated, but I really thought he saw, like, how much I really loved him as an individual and cared about him as a person, and and even whenever he would mess up or he would miss a test or whatever, like, that even though I would say you shouldn't do that or whatever, and I would say that too many times, I admit that, but that I was, like, still 110% on his side. I thought he knew that. I thought he saw that, but he didn't. And, like, again, it makes me feel like I wasn't enough, but also, like, he could have talked to me and told me these things, but just because it wasn't enough for him, and just because he didn't see it, doesn't mean it wasn't there. Doesn't mean I didn't try. It doesn't mean I didn't do the best with the information I had. But also, like, someday for someone, somewhere, someplace in time, it will be enough. I will be enough. And they'll see all my flaws, and they'll see how I can be a lot, and they'll see how, you know, I can be harsh and critical and, you know, whatever, and they'll see all those things, and then they'll see the good parts of me and see how special my love is and special my person is, me as a person, and it'll be enough. And I thought it was for David. I thought he saw that. I thought that was the page that we were on. I didn't know any different. He didn't fucking tell me. But it wasn't, he didn't. And it wasn't him. Even though I really wanted it to be him, it just wasn't. But someday someone will see it. And I'll continue to work on myself and, you know, whatever. And it'll be enough. And they'll appreciate my love, and it'll work. And I just didn't work with David. And that breaks my heart. But it's just how it is. And again, like, yes, I could have done better. I could have done different, you know. But one, I didn't know to. Two, I was just doing my best. And I'm not angry at myself. I don't hate myself. I'm also not blaming myself. Again, this is just thoughts and feelings that I've been having. They don't really, it's not that they don't mean that much, but I don't know how accurate they are. I don't know how true they are. I'm just being truly in my emotions, even though they don't make any sense. And even though they feel like pathetic and they feel desperate and they feel just embarrassing. That's how I feel. And, I love myself. I love the bad and I love the good. And I don't think of myself as a bad person. I used to think of myself as a bad person, a really bad, mean, terrible person. Who never did anything right. But then since David and I broke up, and I did feel that way in the relationship. I don't necessarily know well, whatever. But ever since David and I broke up, I realized I'm not mean. I'm not terrible. I'm not a bad person. I'm not a bad thing. I'm not that way. I'm strong and I'm confident and I know what I want, and, you know, just because it didn't work out with him doesn't mean there's something wrong with me. And that's not an excuse to, like, not work on bettering myself, being a better person, but you know what I mean. And so there's just this weird feeling of, you know, wasn't enough for him, it'll be enough for someone else someday. And then there's also the thing of, like, no, I'll keep hitting the thing. I just really wish she would have fucking talked to me and told me how he felt and communicated with me. Because then I would have told him this. I would have told him. I would have known to show it more. I would have known to reassure him. Whatever. This feels like, again, this feels very desperate. It feels all over the place. But that's where I'm at. That's where my emotions are at. Again, I miss him a lot. And I wish this wasn't happening. But it is. It's been happening for however many weeks now. And I'm gonna be okay. I just really thought it was gonna be him. I really thought I had found my person. And maybe at at some points in time he felt that way about me. Well, no, he told me, but somewhere along that changed. And he doesn't think that anymore. I'm sad. I really don't want to post this video because it's very vulnerable and it makes me look like I'm fucking crazy, and it makes me look like I'm just sitting around like waiting for him, or I'm like pleading or something. But I just needed to be honest about how I feel. And again, I have the perspective and I understand logically and whatever, but that's how I feel. And I'm not just sitting around. I'm doing a lot of things. I'm trying a lot of things. I'm driving. I'm going out for hours by myself. Like I'm making new friends. Like I'm doing all the things that I'm supposed to do. And I am doing okay. I just really needed to get this out. So yeah. I gotta go. I have errands to run. And oh my god, I keep burping. And I kinda need to like clean myself up. I hope this wasn't too embarrassing. I hope I didn't sound too fucking crazy. Because I don't want it to, I keep talking, but I don't want it to seem like I'm just like sitting around crying all day being like, oh, I messed up, when will he come back, whatever. That's not what I'm doing. That's not how I feel, or that's not what's going on. Like, and it's not like I'll never love anyone again, how can you do this? Like, that's not what I'm afraid it's gonna come off that way. And that's not what I'm meaning to do. What I'm meaning to come across is like, I really fucking loved someone. And I really wanted it to work. I know. And it didn't. And I'm sad. That's the vibe I wanted to come across. But okay. Yeah. We'll see what happens throughout the week, I guess. Come here. You wanna say hi? You haven't been home in a while. Come here. Nala's been such a good kitty. I don't know what I'd do without her. Oh no, I'm gonna start crying again. I love you. Okay.